Yes.
in your last 2 or 3 weeks, have you felt the difference of how Anglo people approach you?
Very much
And
so. Very much so. Very much so.
I,
I
oh,
actually,
it's,
it's eye opening because I live in Baldwin Hills, and so now it's an influx, and it's like a combination of fear and gratitude, or like holier than thou. You know what I mean?
and it's this too. It's that, like you say, the fearful part is, damn, if I was you, I'll be killing my ass. That's like, for real. When
Uh,
they look at you, they be like, how can you be cool with me when you know what my great 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 granddaddy did to your great great grandmama?
Facts.
You follow me?
Yes.
So that whole reality of now you seeing a certain, man, they went through some shit,
Yeah.
man. So I gotta bend over backwards now to
Hmm.
let them know that I ain't like that.
Hmm.
And that's cool. That's cool. But I say, don't y'all ain't gotta church work so hard. Just be.
Yeah.
Just be.
Yeah, you mentioned Chicago quite a few times, and you just got off of politics. I'll be remiss if I didn't ask you about Ron Emanuel and President Obama.
What about them?
I'm asking you, what about him?
You know the wild part is, hey man, that's so far from my thought process, brother. On the real, man. Because we see it for what it is, man. And a lot of black people thought Barack was gonna be the cure all end all for my people.
Hmm.
And it is what it is, man. It's I've got to do what I got to do on this local level, man.
Hmm.
Rahm Emanuel, yeah, that's a whole nother animal. That's a
Mm.
whole nother animal, man. Because once again, when you deprive a people of their human rights,
Hmm.
when you deprive a people of the opportunity to reach their full potential, when you deprive a people through resource allocation, now you weaponize your dollar to my community. So now,
Damn.
as I watch the structure, when Harold Washington said there'll never be another white mayor in the city, how powerful that was to know, yeah, it will be. Watch what you say, because the power structure in Chicago, brother. Dr. King came to Chicago and said, this is the most virulent racism he ever met.
Mm.
He's come from the deep south, bro.
Mm.
You feel me? And that's in Marquette Park. So Chicago, Chicago is so critical. That's why I don't know if you noticed. Donald Trump just sent a letter to Lori Lightfoot and
I
the
just
governor.
read, I actually just read it
Okay,
this morning. Yeah.
and now prior to that, whenever they would have their little White House briefing, he
Hmm.
would never mention Chicago, even though we were spiking in cases.
Hmm.
Okay, because he realizes that his Trump Tower is in Chicago,
Mm.
and he know these brothers here. We're a different breed in Chicago at times when we need to be. You
Hmm.
feel me? When we're not anesthetized. We're not when we're you feel me? We okay? But Barack Obama
Hmm.
had an opportunity to do a lot of stuff, man. A lot of great stuff. He did some great things. Number one thing I say he did, he gave everybody some health care. That was, you know what I'm saying? That impacted me from him because it impacted one of my sons, and he got good, cool. Appreciate that. But some of your other stuff, brother, some of the drone strikes, you feel me? Some of the murder and mayhem that you had to do because you are commander in chief, and
Gaddafi.
that ah, you feel me? You
Hmm.
feel me?
Hmm.
Now, if you study that, and if you look at where the world is today, where the world is today, the world is getting ready to do what Gaddafi was talking about.
Mm.
You feel me? And that why is why is human rights among African people such an issue? And those who are in the Western powers, they want to continue and perpetuate this image of it's a pathological, it's something in their gene pool that they got a worm in their brain, and it's something in their brain that just it don't click. And you know when I was hooping, man, how many times you hear white racist coaches say, "Oh, a player, yeah, he don't think." Throwing
Mm.
them little jabs, throwing little racist jabs, and until people know the true history of the planet, man, and the history of what we brought to it. That it we didn't, you taught me from a young age that nothing but slavery. The history books that you were a slave. You weren't nothing else. You were a slave. And then you stop and you think how cold that is. That you tell people they slaves for that long and don't allow them to read anything but a Bible, and that Bible teaches them that they've been cursed. Wow. And the whole entirety of the planet Earth has been vibing on that. That black is a curse. Black, since you cursed, that's why it was cool for you to be a slave.
And some may say, go ahead.
And see the cold part, if you don't go to higher education to study the critical part of this thing, then you're not gonna get it. We could have got this information we talked about, brother. We are sharp enough to get this at 5th grade. Financial literacy. We could have got that. Man, come on. Rich dad, poor dad. It's a teaching. It's a method. It's a method to it. It's a method to the madness. For instance, if we were insured, if our children were insured, we wouldn't be getting murdered like this, because insurance companies would have to be paying some dividends. But we're not insured to the hilt like that. So it's a lot of this whole cycle, this cycle of viciousness that goes on. Somebody is making bread. Somebody is making bread. So in the city of Chicago, somebody making bread when it's easier for you to get a gun than a head of lettuce. You're in a food desert. I'm in a food desert, but I'm not in a desert for weaponry. You know, I'm not in a desert for the most illicit drugs you can get anywhere on the planet. But I don't import none of this garbage. And see, that's why I say, man, we got to get to the point where we start to go after the root of these things. You know, the National Rifle Association, later for them. Let's go to Winchester. Let's go to the people who make these guns. That if anybody we know that got murdered by these guns, let's start to find out what gun actually killed them, and let's get the manufacturer of it, and let's start going after them, man. Because in this old capitalist system, they only recognize bread, man. That's all they recognize, and it's from money. And then when I think about our players, we had the opportunity to take that role once again as the Warriors, Mansa Musa, Hannibal. You know, you got a chance to in America to actually stand on something and not be afraid. And this one of the only times we had a chance to change America, and really have a chance to change America without guns, without weapons, without even the notion of it. All we got to do is stand strong on truth. Period.